Hi, I am Skylar Tortajada. Welcome back to Everything Wrong with the World for our new episode. And today's episode, I was trying to figure out what to talk about, and everybody seems to want to hear about the coronavirus epidemic, kind of. I don't know if you would particularly call it an epidemic. I think there's, criteria for that. And I haven't researched specifically on it. I know that makes me sound like not a very credible source or someone you would listen to. But mainly, I just wanted to talk about kind of the ideas of it and how it's affecting the basic population. Although it's also greatly affecting the people who are directly affected by it in a direct way. But the coronavirus, if you have heard it but don't really understand what it is, although I can't give a thorough scientific elaboration on it, but it's basically a virus that originated, I think, from people eating certain fish from a market in China. And those people were infected with a deadly virus where lots of people have died from it now, a deadly contagious virus. But I think a couple of the cases have been treated. I'm not exactly sure. The statistics aren't exactly what I'm concerned about. There's a lot of people in China, like if you look at the numbers, it's huge numbers in China that have it. But also, I think with that, we have to think about the fact that the population of China is really large. So if you think about the ratio, the percentage of people that are infected with it, that is very different from just the initial scary figures of it. So it's basically this virus that people got that's killing people, that originated in China, and then, there's been only a handful, especially if you think about not only population in these specific areas, but also the population that has the disease. A very small handful of people in some other countries, including America. I think, literally only a few cases in America of this virus. And instances like this are ones that we've seen before. A lot with the Ebola virus that was more recent, but it seems like it was shorter ago or more recent than it actually was, but it's the most recent instance that I think all of us can remember of kind of a disease that was super scary and deadly, but in reality only a few people were directly affected by it. But the way in which this affects people, regular people like you and me, is more on the social end of how people treated socially. Because I don't think that most people are ever going to come in contact with the virus, or secondhand contact, or third-hand contact even. It's very rare, and it will probably be one of those things that we eventually find a cure for. But there's a lot of impact socially. Everyone is talking about it. Everybody has been talking about it. And it's become a whole thing. And with things like the coronavirus that has originated in China, and in the past the Ebola virus that was originated, or I don't know if it exactly originated, but it was associated with parts of Africa. The thing that comes up most socially in discussing it is race. And that creates it creates tension, a lot of tension. Not that it wouldn't already create tension where you're oh, somebody could be sick with this, I'm going to get it, and no one will stop talking about it. And also, the other thing, side note, whenever there's something serious going on, something that, I don't want to sound rude or I don't know. But usually when things like this will happen, people will worry about getting it and like be all like over dramatic about it. And everyone knows that aspect of it. But I'm not sure if some of the older adults now would know that literally every kid makes a joke about it, where it's like the dramaticism mixed with jokes. Like, oh, I'm going to get this and I'm going to get that. And we were working on a project in Spanish today. One of the questions that you had to ask in Spanish was, what do you prefer, Chinese food or Italian food? And like literally 3 different kids made a joke saying that, oh, we can't eat Chinese food anymore because of the coronavirus. And like, that's just insensitive. Like, I don't mean to like destroy the fun. Like, I can take a joke, but at the same time, it's like there are actual people dying like right now. So you like calm down with it. And also like with the dramatics of it, like you can calm down. You don't need to bring it up every 5 seconds because you don't have it. No one you know has it. No one in the area has it. Like, chill. But then the thing racially is that so everyone associates the virus with China, and then it's like any Chinese person or any Asian person for that matter, everybody sees as like a threat. Like, oh, that person has the coronavirus, that person is going to infect everyone, that person is sick. And that creates tension for a group that, for groups that are already racially oppressed. Like, for the Ebola virus, people coming in and out of Africa for the airport were, obviously, like, there was that whole thing with the airports where everybody had to be checked and everything. But African people were like seen as like diseased, and it's like that's not helping anyone. Like, just because we associate that in our mind, like, oh, Ebola, Africa, then it's like we make that assumption depending on the situation, seeing like an African person or a black person and being like, oh, you have Ebola. Like, that's not correct in any way. Like, that's not right in any way. Like, it's not even just that they obviously don't have it, because like there's not that many cases and like they would know if they had it. Like, it's not even that. It's also just like profiling someone by their race, because like half the people that these jokes are made towards aren't even Chinese. Like, you're not only like you're clumping all of them together, and like half the African people who experienced persecution, like saying that they have Ebola because they were from Africa, probably weren't even from the countries in Africa that were being greatly affected. And it's like you're first of all, you're looking at someone and the way they look, and you're saying you're from this country that has all this going on, but you're also saying that is all you are. You are just diseased and no one cares, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get me away from you. Like, I understand, like, protecting yourself from something, but that should not come at the cost of dehumanizing other people. So, like, that's the main point of, like, don't dehumanize other people to protect yourself. Like, it's just insane. Like, why? And it's people, it's just, like, random kids that are just stupid and just making these jokes that, like, will never come in contact of it, like, aren't affected by it, like, didn't even need to talk about it unless they wanted to, because, like, it's not going to affect them. Like, if they didn't hear about it over social media, they wouldn't have known about it at all, because it's not affecting them. But, yeah. And then there comes, like, the other side of it, where I heard this story. I didn't, like, it wasn't something that I saw from, like, a credible site. It was something that was told to me. But it's basically, the moral of it is in the idea of what happened. The story was that an Asian man collapsed on the streets of New York City, and from a pre-existing, like, a heart condition, where he could have been resuscitated and saved, but no one would touch him or go up to him because they just assumed that he would have the coronavirus, or they were scared that he would have the coronavirus. And I mean, like, even if he did, that's a person's life. That's, like, you shouldn't ignore a person's life, like, for your own. Like, like, it's weird to say, like, oh, even if you knew he was infected, you should go up and, like, help him, because, like, you shouldn't trade your life for someone else's, because not everybody is willing to do that. But at the same time, like, consider other people. Like, don't dehumanize someone because they look like they might be from a country that has a fraction of the people that have this disease. And it's like, and also, like no one is gonna get it. Like, I know that people have it and, like, it is spreading, but, like, as far as, like, suburban American teenagers, like, they don't need to be making these jokes and worrying about it. That is the thing that, like, annoys me most. Like, whenever something happens, rather than, like, there's two things that teenagers will do. Like, I don't know how to say it, but, like, I do not like teenagers. Like, this generation sucks. I don't mean, like, oh, I wish I was born in a different generation. Like, I appreciate everything that I have, and I appreciate that I'm growing up in a time where we're consistently getting more and more progressive and accepting. That's something that's really important to me. But at the same time, some of the kids in this, like, that are my age and that are, like, online, it just sometimes seems like they weren't raised right. Because, like, anytime anything big like this happens, everybody's, like, oh, making TikToks about it and posting about it. So there's that half that will do that. They will make TikToks about it, and they will post about it, and they will make, like, awful jokes about it. Whenever anything like this, or the World War III thing, people in Iran, or, like, any major thing, right? And they'll make jokes, and they'll be like, oh, I can't talk to Chinese people anymore, blah, blah. So they'll either do that and be dramatic and just, like, pedal on it, and make these, like, stupid jokes. Or the other side of it is, like, they become, like, completely invested in their view of it and being politically correct. And I don't want to be one of those people that's like, political correctness is the worst thing ever. Because it's not. Like, there are some things where it's like, I'm glad that we now have that buffer where it's like, think about what you say before you're going to say it, because your words can hurt people, your words can offend people. But at the same time, not everything needs to be completely correct to what your standard of correct is. Like, it's not so much for this issue as, like, a more political issue. Like issues with, like, Trump and everything. So most of the kids my age, or the kids my age that I'm exposed to, are, like, what you would call, like, Democratic or liberal or hate Trump. But this is a complete sidetrack. But what they'll do is, like, they'll post over and over again, or they'll talk over and over again about what they believe and how we should fix it, and this and that and this and that. But at the same time, it's like, you're not doing anything. So do you really care? Or, And then the other point is that it's the same with anybody in today's political climate. Everyone sticks to their opinion and does not change it no matter what. They have their opinion. This is their opinion. Everything else is wrong. And then the other thing, like, so we have this group that, like, will constantly joke about tragedy, and we have this other group that will constantly make tragedy about their political opinions and how it's someone else's fault and how all that. And then so the group that, is all about political correctness will always bash the other group for making jokes, and it's, like, just a back and forth of, like, over seriousness and under seriousness. And I think what kids today need to realize is, like, the world is going on around you. It's going to go on around you. You need to be kind to other people. You need to realize that other people are human beings and, like, have sympathy for other people. But at the same time, not everything is about you being a hero. And I feel like it's hard, like, when a lot of people say that, they think of, like, oh, you're saying that kids don't have a voice and that's so rude. But at the same time, it's like, they do have a voice, but we don't always need to hear it. I know that that's, like, the worst thing to say, and it's, like, really discouraging. But your opinion isn't always going to be law. Like, it's not always going to be right. And so, like, I know I went off trail there, but, like, that's kind of how social media is handling this, even. where it's like their kids making jokes about how they're going to get the coronavirus. There's other people like talking about like how awful it is that we're not helping and how we need to do this and that and this and that and this and that. But I think what people need to realize is like this is something that's just going on around us. Like, yes, we should have sympathy for those who have passed away and their family. Sorry, excuse me. And those who were affected by it or are affected by it. But at the same time, there's really not much we can do. So, you know, you can't go up to everyone and cure the disease yourself. Like, you can't just give money to random corporations that are saying that they're going to help. Like, a virus is a virus. A virus kills or it doesn't kill or whatever it's going to do. Like, that's just how it works. And it's something I don't want to say, like, ignore it because it's not in our country. But at the same time, like, we really need to stop meddling in it in these negative ways. And kind of just realize that it is going on around us and do the little things that we can to, like, help and donate to trustworthy organizations. But at the same time, like, chill on the dramatics and everything going on, making it about how you're going to get the virus or how you're going to save everybody from it or how your views are that this and this and that and that. And I think that's an important thing in any situation today. But yeah, that's kind of the overview of kind of from my point of view almost of how everything is playing out. But yeah, it's basically it is what it is. Like most things are like that. You gotta just be like, it is what it is. Which I know is bad because we're supposed to like be heroes and fix everything and share our ideas. But it really is what it is. So thank you for listening. Please continue to listen. If you didn't like this episode, you might like the next one. It's posted everywhere. Side note, if you see me in the hallway, please don't like congratulate me on my vodcast. I know it's posted on Schoology as a vodcast, a video podcast, but I do not like that word. No disrespect to anybody that uses it. Like, use it however you want. But if you're talking to me, it's a podcast. That's just, that was a side note, but vodcast is a really weird word. So, you know, but I don't know why I said that. But thank you for listening, anyone who did. Thank you for anyone who's consistently listening, leaving comments. That's the best. Please come back next time. Don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but it's going to be fun. So tune in, and I will see you next week.